I'm Jim Surace. This is the Grind Spiritual Sunday, connecting Sunday to Monday and throughout the week. Today's message has to do with the statement or the question, does inaction have a consequence? Well, some years ago, when I first read a couple things that Jesus said in the Bible, I had some confusion with it and needed to think on it, didn't quite understand it. One of the things was he said, whatever you do not do for the least of these, you do not do for me. And whatever you did do for the least of these, you did for me. So what Jesus was talking about was that our inaction to help people, maybe even what we might consider to be the least of these, whatever we didn't do, it's as if we didn't do it for Jesus. And what we did do, our actions, serving people, even the least of these, Jesus considers it that we did it for him. Powerful statement. Also, he said, it was in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 12, verses, I think start verse 30. I think it's verse 30. He said, whoever is not with me is against me, and whoever does not gather with me scatters. Whoever does not gather, actually, Jesus is saying, scatters. I thought about that, and I thought, well, Lord, you mean if I'm just doing nothing, I'm not necessarily championing your cause, that means I'm kind of dissing your cause, that I'm actually pushing away, scattering? As I contemplated that, I had a vision in my mind's eye, which I think was relevant. I saw a rather large rowboat in the ocean with choppy waters. And the sides of the boat had very large sides. And then off in the distance, I saw a cruise ship that was sinking, and people were jumping off this cruise ship and flailing about. And there was nothing, no place to go. But, some of the survivors were swimming and were right next to the rowboat, that was their only safe place. And it was the side of the boats was too high for the people actually pull themselves in. And the person in the boat did nothing to help them aboard to safety. And so, I thought, well, since the person in the boat did nothing and didn't help them, would he be or she be responsible for their drowning? And so with that, I kind of got a sense of what Jesus was talking about. Another example is, well, anybody who knows me knows that, I always say that if I was going to err, I'd rather err on the side of being too generous than not. If I was ever going to err, I'd like to err on the side of maybe going too far for somebody, serving somebody too much rather than too little. And when, people have said, well, you shouldn't be doing so much, or why do you do so much for so many? And, maybe they don't really need it, and maybe they don't need the help, but, they're just asking you to make an easier road for themselves. I always, think that, well, look, that may be so, but I own what I do, and they own what they do. So if someone is trying to get over on me and whatever my situation or whatever, that's on them, and I'm not going to take ownership. Again, if I'm going to err, I want to err on the side of doing too much, of being too generous. And if someone is not being righteous in a situation, well, that's all on them. And unfortunately, it may be a short-term win for somebody, but it's usually most likely to be a long-term issue for them. So that's a message for today, a short message, but just think through, I guess my challenge is kind of think through your own life and what you do, and Do your actions match up to what Jesus is talking about? Do you activate the willingness to serve people, to help people? And in doing that, well, what Jesus said, if you do it for them, it's like you're doing it for me, him. And I'm sure the blessings that come out of that are way beyond what we could even comprehend or understand. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May his face shine upon you. May the Lord give you incredible supernatural peace this very day. May he fill you with his spirit to give you just an energy today and an enthusiasm for the day that the Lord has made just for you. Lord bless you and keep you. Amen.